let me welcome three people that most of you will want to do business with. Our first person is Leslie Chiorazzi. She's the managing partner of CMIT Solutions, and she has the CMIT Solutions of Murray Hill and has led that business for 5 years. Our second is Oli Thordarson. He's the CEO of Alvaka Networks, and basically he's been running Alvaka for how many years is it now, Oli? 40. And Wade Yeaman, and he is the founder and CEO of Fluid IT Solutions. So please, a big warm welcome for these guys. We are all very aware that we stand between you guys, a boat, and what's even worse, alcohol. So we're going to make this as informative as we possibly can. One of the things I want people to think about during the session is if you look at your systems, you've tried to pigeonhole everyone, and we all try and do it. We put everyone in lovely little baskets and we say, this is where they are. Each of these folks you will have in your MSP basket, and you're going to be trying to deal with them in a very similar way. What we'll learn from the session is they are very dissimilar. They have very different business models and very different ways of working. And I'm going to give each of them just a couple of minutes just to introduce their businesses. Oli, you're nearest to me. Tell everyone a little bit about Alvaka.
Yeah, so Alvaka, we're headquartered out of Irvine, California. We employ in 18 states. We have two primary revenue models within the company. One is the more traditional managed IT services. That one tends to cater to the mid-market and the back-end infrastructure that mid-market clients are running. And then the crazy fast-growing part of the business is the cybersecurity side, particularly focused on doing ransomware recoveries. And you'll see that, in the cases that you read about ransomware recovery, for the last 4 years, we've had at least 2 of the top 10 cases that you've read about that we've worked. We're not allowed to talk about them specifically, but and the crazy part about that business is it's doubling or more than doubling year over year.
Excellent. Leslie, tell us a little bit about CMIT.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Leslie Chiorazzi. I'm managing partner of CMIT Solutions in New York City. Not all of New York City. We are part of a franchise, so there are more than 260 locations across the country, serving lots of different areas in lots of different verticals with different expertise. Personally, I come out of the healthcare market, so I serve a lot of healthcare clients, along with nonprofit are probably our strongest. Generally, our clients are 20 to 200 seats, and I'm happy to be here in Miami. It's way better than a work day in my office in New York.
Wade.
Hi, my name is Wade Yeaman. I founded Fluid about 22 years ago in the Dallas area. Still there today. We started by doing IT support services, which is now MSP. We also built our own cloud infrastructure, a private cloud, which has now morphed into the more public clouds. And we've obviously had to keep up with security. So we have the third leg of the stool is what some people call an MSSP, or a security provider. And so between those three, we generally do all IT for our clients in the small to mid-market, that being anywhere from probably 25 to 500 employees.
Brilliant. So looking at your businesses, and starting with you, Oli, how much of your business is vendor product resale?
Approximately 0%.
And let's dive into that. With your clients, how much do they spend on IT, and what influence do you have over that?
Our clients spend millions. I estimate they spend each annually about 20, 30 million on IT products, not counting the services. And our role is to be an influencer Our system architects help design and shape out what they need to do for technology refreshes or build outs, or when they do have merger acquisition and there's some changes going on, we're the ones that are involved with doing that.
So you have enormous influence over what the customers are buying.
We do.
Excellent. Leslie, what percentage of your business is resale of vendor products approximately?
I would say probably 30 to 40% are generally vendor-driven product.
Excellent. And Wade?
If we categorize vendors as what we would call partners, we have numerous partner products, but when taken together, it's probably about 50% of our business.
Excellent. And what percentage of your profit does that resale represent?
Our services, which is half our business, I would say is about 70% of our gross margin. And the 50% of the vendor or partner related is probably closer to 30.
Okay. Same for you, Leslie.
Wow, I just realized I have to talk to Wade more. I would say, it's likely a lot less than that, depending on the product itself and whether it's part of a bundle that we offer versus whether we're selling it direct to the client, whether that relationship is direct with the customer, or whether we're making, it's part of a service offering.
And clearly in your case, Oli, it's zero.
Zero.
So here we have three very, very different businesses. Oli, if you look at your business, you're influencing this product. You're presumably buying a significant amount of technology for the business, so you are essentially the end customer for that. How do you want to be treated by the folks in the room? What are you looking for?
Yeah, so one thing that's worth mentioning is that we do consume quite a bit of product ourselves in the fulfillment of our services to the clients. We will buy hardware and software and then deploy appliances out on site. For example, for backup and restore, we will go out and buy appliances and software and deploy that appliance. But what was your question again?
How do you want to be treated by the guys in the room? What sort of relationship do you want?
I did want to point out that I think it's important to note that we do consume our own product, but how do we want to be treated? It's really, really frustrating and interesting at times because we are an influencer, but we don't show up on the point of sale reports. I believe that's what they're called with your sales teams. And if we don't show up on the point of sale report, then we don't merit much attention, but yet we're driving sales for you guys. And so the way we want to be treated is that we want to, like your regular certified partners, whatever program that you have, we need to be able to call in and talk to somebody that maybe help with a design or answer questions about design. Post-implementation, we're involved in supporting systems for the clients, so we need to be able to call into help desks and ask and basically get all the normal services that a full-blown reselling MSP partner of yours would provide. And some companies do a good job of recognizing and accommodating influencers, and others don't. So that's probably something to look at. You might have a blind spot in your channel partner program regarding influencers.
And asking the obvious question, if you're not getting recognition as an influencer, does that impact what you're recommending to the customer?
Yeah, if you're easy to do business with, you got a leg up. If you're really difficult to do business with, you better have one hell of a compelling value proposition that completely supersedes what everybody else has, or fill a unique place in the market. And very few companies enjoy that. So yeah, if you make it hard, we're going to go talk to 2 or 3 other companies, find the ones that give us the information we need, and find the ones that are a good fit. And that's what we're going to be working with and recommending to the client, just because there isn't the friction in the transaction.
Leslie, what are you looking for in a relationship with your vendor partners?
So I think the most important thing I value is I have a trust relationship with my clients. That means that if I give that trust relationship to a partner or a vendor, they have to act as though they're me. I'm going to tee up a sale in most cases for the vendors I work with. I'm going to give them the best information I can that I've collected. If you screw that up, it makes me look bad. I don't ever want to look bad in the service industry. And we sell hundreds of different things to our clients. We represent everything in their IT infrastructure. And whether they're 10 seats or 100 seats, the stack for us a lot of times remains the same. I need a partner that is knowledgeable, that is service-driven, that is someone I can call, text. I mean, I have unfortunately for the vendor, I have vendors that I could text on a holiday and they'll get back to me because they understand that our relationship many times is outside of office hours just to make sure that we're servicing our customers. They rely heavily on us, and if I rely on you and you screw that up, if we have good rapport and you've done well for me, you get another shot, same as I get with my clients. But if that's over and over, or you don't deliver on what you've said you can, it'll be the last time we work together in most cases.
Mm-hmm. And let's drill into CMIT. You've got a franchise. How many other franchisees are there in the CMIT network?
So it's a great question. Thank you for the softball. What's interesting about being part of a franchise is if something's great, we all know about it, kind of. If something's terrible, we all know about it, always. So what's interesting about being part of a franchise is there is a framework, there is a vetted stack, but unlike a Dunkin' Donuts, I can sell ice cream cake if I want to. What matters is if you're a good communicator, if you're kind of popular in the system, you're telling everybody what's great or what's working for you or what's not working for you. Not everybody's going to agree or disagree, but the nice part is we do get a lot of relevant information about how we choose vendors and partners because of that large framework.
And how many franchisees are there?
There's 260
so
across the country.
Someone does something bad to you, 260 people know about it. Someone does something great for you, 260 people know about it. It's a really interesting aspect. And Wade, what are you looking for in a relationship with your partners?
Well, I think it's similar in that there's only one time we are given trust, and that's when we close a sale. And then from then on, we have to constantly earn it. And that holds true with the partners or vendors we work with. First of all, we have to have a good product that meets the need we're looking for or a client need. Equally as important is the support. Without either or, we just cannot do it because ultimately that puts pressure on our support desk. The other issue that was brought up is we represent all of y'all, but our clients, if something goes wrong, they see our logo. They don't see your logo. And so that is something that is critically important because we know going in that that's going to be the case. And so there's a lot of vetting going on and a lot of things related to consistency after that initial relationship. And what we've seen more of is there's just a lot of turbulence within the market as far as having any sort of consistency related to account management and support. We see a lot of vendors moving things offshore. We see a lot of turnover in the account management slot. And for us, what that really translates to is it feels like you don't really care about learning our business. And whether that's true or not doesn't really matter when we're the ones out there representing it in front of our clients. And so we don't like to change products for the same type of service. We like consistency and standardization, but we're not afraid to do it if things change for the detriment of ourselves and our clients. And so there's an aspect of consistency, but also it's very noticeable but rare when a vendor actually cares about learning about our business, how we do it, because we get put in that MSP bucket of we all do it the same, and that's just not true. And so if the more they understand about our business, the more successful that relationship is, and then the more everyone meets their objectives. And too often I think people are just looking at the initial quotas. I checked it off the box, I move on down the line to the next one. And that's just not the way our relationships work with our clients. And so it goes a lot deeper than a transaction. It's not a transactional business, it's a relationship business. And so where we have the most success for both parties is when we can learn each other well enough to be able to grow and expand on that. And in fact, in the best cases, we have actually partnered and come up with new alternatives and solutions that they never thought about even offering to the market. And so, we don't want to be just seen as a number. We want to be seen as a value add. And I think it all goes together in having that consistency that you would hope to have just on your side. I would think you would want to have a client for life and one that's growing over time. It's no different than us. And so if we look at it that way collaboratively, it tends to work a lot better.
Leslie, channel account manager walks into your office. If you look at the best channel account manager you deal with, what makes them the best? Why do you view them that way? What are they doing?
First of all, there's security, so nobody just walks in, Rod. I'll give you a perfect example. Today, I had my team wanted some additional education around a product that we're about to deliver to a client, and we were allotted 2 two-hour slots. And I like to have a good time with people, my clients, my vendors, everything, to the point like if you were in an empty conference room and I see this particular vendor, I'll yell into the room how much I love her. Just like, I don't care if her boss hears, I hope he hears, I hope everyone hears, but we have a really good rapport. And we wanted this particular gentleman because I could have got someone for nothing or I could pay for training. I was kind of mad that I would have to pay for training, especially because this particular sales engineer has a very cartoon villain style delivery, which I kind of enjoy, but he's also really smart, so I can't make fun of him. But it was gonna cost like $500 to get the training, and I really wanna have the training. So she said, you could have so-and-so for free, or you could have this guy, but he's $450 an hour or something. So I said, seriously, I gotta pay for this? And she was like, hold on a minute. Reaches back out like 5 minutes later, so they waived the fee so that we could deliver the service. I'm about to buy a bunch of agents from you. Like, it shouldn't even be a conversation. I'm sure she felt bad even writing it, but that's the kind of relationship I like. Where I'm fortunate because CMIT represents a large amount of ownership and a lot of revenue. So we do have some special relationships with vendors that your general MSP, even a large one, isn't gonna have. We represent like 260 people all over the country, more than $125 million in revenue. So we're gonna get special attention. That doesn't always work out, but there are many partners that I deal with, and specifically because of those type of relationships where they're looking out for you, where they're making sure they're proactive, just like I wanna be proactive with my clients. What Wade said really resonated. If you learn something about my business, you'll know the delivery that I require. I do the same for my clients. I have to understand what they're delivering so that I can make sure I bring the right things for them, because maybe my general stack does not work for them, or maybe there's something specific to their industry that will wow them and help me not only get their account, but keep it.
Mm-hmm. And Oli, a channel account manager has a meeting with you. What prep do you want them to have done? What makes you go, yeah, that's someone who really was ready for the meeting?
The good ones understand our business model, and they understand that the needs and the way their clients operate is different. And I use the word client very carefully because I think that's a little bit higher level than a customer relationship, right? And so they treat us like a client, and they understand our business model, and they understand what makes us tick. And I understand that you guys have a problem, having to cover your whole, client base, account base with, X number of people. But it makes me think about a meeting I had sometime back with the CFO of a healthcare provider, regional healthcare provider that we do business with. And their challenge was going from 11 minutes per engagement by the doctors with the patients per visit down to 7 minutes. They had to go from 11 minutes to 7 minutes to stay profitable. And so I get it. I mean, you guys have that same kind of problem, but somehow you've got to find a way for you to hire the right sales reps and people that have the emotional IQ and the intellectual capacity to understand our business model and then cater the messaging and the needs that are provided based upon our particular business model.
And Wade, what are the customers asking for? Is there a change? Is everyone asking you for AI? We're all hearing about AI at the moment.
Well, we sell to the small to mid-market, so our buyer is typically, from a technology standpoint, an uneducated business owner or management level. So what they're asking for is basically solve my pain points. So I call them symptoms. So there's symptoms, maybe this last provider really messed up and we need a change. It's not working. A lot of times it will be we've outgrown the one guy in a truck. We need more formalized, disciplined approach. We deal with a lot of startups. What they're asking for is basically, in a nutshell, take care of it, literally. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's someone calling our level 1 help desk to reset a password, if it's recovering from ransomware, or if it's proactively understanding, since we are HIPAA, we need to be doing certain things because we are a covered agent on that side, and so we have to have advanced security that we don't currently have today. They expect it all. And if you look at it from their eyes, they don't want to be calling IT. I have a saying that if business could be in business without technology, they would do it, because it's very stressful on the end user community. They don't call us to say, hey, I want to call you guys to say, this software is awesome. Yeah, it just doesn't happen. It's always a stressful conversation. They're always, they need that emotional IQ on our end to know how to talk them off the ledge and be patient with them and work through it. What they don't understand is behind them and behind the phone, we have a catalog of maybe 30 products that bundle together to provide that holistic service for them. And the other part is we're always looking to improve that. And so those pieces and parts that make up the services, I will say we probably swapped out 4 in the last year that were specific point in time solutions that were just better solutions, either because the product was better, the support was better, or the flip side is the existing service just went south. We cannot let our clients see that. It can't be evident to them. And so when they come to us, they're really just saying, take care of all of it. And if you think about it from their standpoint, my guys get on me for this because they'll ask for something we don't do. We don't do cabling, structured wiring, putting in Ethernet cables. And they'll get upset that a client asked for that. But if you think of it from their standpoint, they don't have any internal IT. They have nowhere else to go. They have nowhere else to call. They don't know what to do. And so we're not only providing the service, we are their advocate to get what they need done to keep their business moving. And so to answer the question, it really is, at least in our market, the mid-market where you don't have an IT staff, they expect us to be the expert in all of these solutions and present that in one way through the relationship.
Mm-hmm. And a question for all of you, maybe starting with you, Oli. NFR product, how important is that to you? What makes a really good, hey, they're doing exactly what I need to make this work?
Yeah, we love NFR product in that it gives us an opportunity to understand your products and understand it in an operational sense. Sometimes we'll use the NFR product internally for our own operations, which I think is a real win if you can get your partners to do that. There's no better way to understand a product and fall in love with it and to be a believer than to be using it yourself. Not always will NFR product be a fit for us in our operations, but it's still good to have. One of the discussions that we had before we came up on stage is that a lot of times you get a 30-day trial, and we've got a lot of stuff that we're doing. We have our own priorities, and your 30-day trial, that 30-day window might not be our priority the next 30 days. And so then it runs out and we have to ask for extensions. And some companies are generous with those, some are not. and maybe we need multiple 30-day extensions, but NFR product kind of gets past that hurdle. And the other thing I will add is if an NFR product gets into the hands of our engineers and they like it and they fall in love with it, they're not salespeople, but they're like the biggest advocates in the world for your solutions.
Leslie.
I'll just say that I've admitted to the fact that I have, a shopping problem, and that my technicians have begged me not to come home with any more tools that they need to implement. So, NFR, and I'm also proud of how many 3-letter acronyms I now know in the IT business. I think NFR, without beating this to death, what Ali said is exactly what we all run into. Someone gives us a 3-month free trial, and then we have to implement it, and it's day 89, and we haven't implemented it yet, so we really gain nothing from the trial. NFR is a great way for us to test it, mess with it, and really sell it to our technicians who don't want one more thing to implement. Trust me, they, like I said, I've been begged now not to buy anything else, and I said, anytime I'm at a conference, anytime I will come back with at least 2 to 3 things I want them to implement, so they are about to tie me to a desk.
Switching gears a little bit, Wade, for you, multi-tenancy, how important is that in a program for you guys?
It's mandatory. We cannot do any product that does not support not just multi-tenancy, but a easy-to-use multi-tenant interface, because again, if you look at it from our standpoint, we don't have one portal, we have 20 portals we have to deal with. And so the other thing is we're trying to minimize and eliminate human error. And the more the portal can do for us, and the more the multi-tenancy can do for us through policies and rule-based things, that reduces the time, it improves our efficiency, reduces the error rates and things like that. And there's some really good ones out there, and there are some really bad ones. But if we're looking at a new product and they do not support that, it's a no-go right then.
Yeah, I want to drive home that point. We've found some really cool products in the past, and then we want to look at implementing it. And whether it's across 3 clients, 30 or 300, you can't have 30 or 300 portals, login portals for each client to manage it. You need one console, and from there you can then select clients and gain access to system admin functions. And so, yeah, if you want to scale in the managed service provider sector, you better be able to have multi-tenancy. You better figure out your multi-tenancy strategy and how it applies.
And Wade, coming back to you, one of the things we spoke about at the beginning before the session was MDF and co-op. You said you're using it less than you used to. Why is that?
It's changed a lot over the years. So, MDF or marketing funds is a way to help us, provide a budget to do things. And in years past, we did a lot of lunch and learns, especially when there was a lot more hardware in play. What's happened is the vendor community has put a lot more stipulations on what you can use how. And frankly, there is a tipping point where it becomes too onerous for us to even do it. And the other thing that I've seen happening is a little bit, one vendor in particular, overreach, where in order to use them, they require client attestation of what we did. Well, that's the worst thing. We don't want them reaching that deep in there. Where we really had a lot of luck with it was a combination of smart use of MDF funds, but also we talked about NFR. I have to say this because you brought it up. We are looking at a compliance product, and last week I signed an NDR, so we opened up the entire product so I could show it to my engineering team. This is last week. I got an email today that said we're going to turn it off on February 9th. And I had no reply other than to say, I guess we'll just have to part ways then. I mean, I can't do anything with that because there's just no way. Because when we look at products, it's from the front of the house. Can they sell it operationally? Is it going to be something that we can operationally work through administration, invoicing, things like that? And then on the back end, the engineering side. We have to consider all that. It takes a lot of time, and we got a day job. So there's a lot that goes into it, and if someone could kind of look at it through the lens of what we have to do to try to even review a product, it's onerous. One thing one vendor did that I really liked is through the certification process, if you got certified to a certain level, they would give you one of their products for free. And it was brilliant because what that did is our engineers who passed that exam got that, and what do you think they did with that? They took it home into their geeks. They plugged it into their home network, and they started playing with that. And to Oli's point, they're our biggest advocates, and then that stuff starts just jumping. And that stopped. I mean, we haven't seen anything like that in a long, long time. And I know budgets are tight. We get that, but the more that we can get our hands on things, whether if it's a software product that is an NFR or if it's a piece of hardware, really, really, it makes a huge difference. It also really cuts the time to market because for us, we eat our own cooking. We're not going to deploy anything unless it passes our engineering, which I can guarantee you is very, very rigid, very tough. We're really hard on ourselves, and we like to say we do it the hard way. So to get through my senior engineer, who I've seen him laugh once, but I think there's a sense of humor in there somewhere, but he's just solid tech all the time, which is what you want when you have someone in that role. So there's a lot of pieces there that kind of ramble in there, but I think it all goes together.
Brilliant. Leslie, marketing support. How much comes from CMIT Central? How much is at the local level with you? What vendor marketing support do you want?
So I think, as a franchise, again, your hope is that they will brand the product nationally. As a local owner, there are times when I work with vendors to do security breakfast or have them support some type of marketing effort where they can pick up some of the cost. On a national level, I don't know why, but I've ended up in these opportunities where we could market or brand something on a national level, like in a sports stadium. And I recently brought it up to one of the other CMIT owners and said, we should really try to co-brand with one of our large sponsors. And he didn't understand how that would work based on, I personally am a soccer fan in New York City, and I've had the opportunity to brand in Yankee Stadium, which is like lifelong dream. Sorry if you're a hater, but to see your brand name there as a small business owner is insane. And now this is running across the country where arenas are letting smaller sponsors, not their seven-figure sponsors, brand. So they'll pick 30 small to medium-sized businesses for the opportunity. But the vendor wants ROI. They want to know if this is actually working as an opportunity before they want to contribute funds. And it's unfortunate because, as we all know, marketing and branding strategies have several prongs. They're not just this way is the way that works. Some of it's having your brand out there. Some of it's radio, internet, website, so many different ways, networking. So in order to have those opportunities in our larger vendor relationships, they're usually sponsoring conventions and things like that. But I think if you really understand your partner and ask where you can support them and what your budget looks like for that is the best way. Whether that is, like I said, in a national framework or in a local market, what's something that Wade's doing in Dallas or I'm doing in New York City that you could leverage to help us and help us grow our business, because us growing our business helps our vendors grow their business.
Mm-hmm. And Oli, in your business, if you look at a partner program, what are the things that make you go, wow, yeah, I really want to talk to these guys?
So there was a time that MDF was more common. We don't do MDF today, and I can understand that. If we're not, one, we're hard to track. How do you track MDF for somebody that's not actually has a point of sale record for selling product for you guys? And that's not so important for us anymore anyway. We have a marketing budget this year of $850,000. We spend that on SEO, Google pay-per-click, Google remarketing, person-based advertising on LinkedIn, trade shows and whatnot. And we've got that down pretty good. But anything that we could, any sort of matching dollars though to that budget would go a long way with a budget of $850,000. So I would be open to ideas that could drive additional sales for you guys and drive additional influence on our part for you. But for us, a good program is just give us good rock solid product support and pre-sales support, and invite us to your roadmap meetings when you've got roadmap briefings about where you're going with your technology if you fit into that category, and then just treat us like a partner in all other respects, and that'll go a long way with us.
And talk about drive down into the support. What makes it special? What makes it different? Is it just having someone on the end of the phone that really understands and can help? Are there specific aspects of it that are most important to you?
Pre-sales support, talking to having one of my systems architects talk to one of your systems architect or whatever, similar titles you have, is really valuable to paint a picture of what we're trying to accomplish with a client or a particular set of clients, and being able to collaborate and brainstorm with them. So that's on the pre-sale side. And then there is the rollout and delivery. Generally, we're pretty autonomous, and we'll roll out and deploy on behalf of the clients. But then during deployment, there's inevitably problems that come up. And again, we need access to your premium support teams. We don't want to get routed to the regular frontline help desk where you blow through the first 2 or 3 people and they say, oh, I don't know, this is like beyond me, because my team has already been through those issues and eliminated some of those issues. So really, we need to come in at some sort of upper tier, access to some upper tier support. And if you do that, I think for us, you're going to be hitting pretty much 100%.
Can I pick up from where Oli's leaving off there? In the IT business, typically we call it like hypercare. Your first 90 days with a customer is probably where you're going to get the most action, the most questions, the most issues. So it goes the same for our vendors. And if you support us through that process, the likelihood is you are going to be our people, our partner, our vendor. So we do the same with our clients. We're very hands-on right at the beginning, because that's typically where we learn what their workflow looks like, what their issues are, what their users are like, and what their expectations are. And I would say we pass that on to the vendors. And when I hear a vendor, before I even really know them, say, we have a 90-day support hypercare process, I'm already in love.
And Wade, you've got some marketing dollars approved from a vendor. How fast do you expect that to be paid? What's realistic?
Well, I think anything that we do has to be thoughtful and mindful. We have to have a specific agenda. As we all are saying, marketing is an awfully big ecosystem, and I think we could all spend a lot of money on marketing. Unfortunately, the operational people, that's the first thing they cut because they don't understand it, and they can't see the results if it's pure marketing. So there's a lot of kind of trust me that goes into that, and I think making it simple, and what I mean by that is I've heard it several times up here, is I'll give you the money when you prove to me that the event you did brought in however many leads. Well, how do I do that? I mean, what happens is I spend the money and then you'll reimburse me once I prove to you I got X amount of leads. Well, I have no way of knowing that. And so therefore you just don't do it because the risk is too high. Whereas the money is sitting there, it's either going to use it or lose it. So I think making it very simple. Also, there are things that you have at scale that we as smaller people don't have, and they're very simple. Maybe something like help us do a webinar, help us do videos, help us do things that as a small company, even if we're doing the blocking and tackling on the marketing side with SEO and all the other things that you can do, there are some things that are low-hanging fruit. Putting on an event like this is not cheap. Doing a webinar effectively is cheap. But this audience, I doubt that we have anyone internal that knows how to or has the time to do the webinar. And we said it earlier, our trouble is we've got so much going on, you got to hold us accountable. So I need you to hold me accountable to do, let's use the MDF funds to do a video or some sort of tangible item, but let's not make it too big. Let's just make it something that we can measure success collectively and that the risk level isn't too high on either end, but we are using the money in an effective way, and you're holding us accountable as we should be because we just don't have the time or the skill set.
Mm-hmm. And Oli, security. You're in ransomware. How important is the vendor's own security when you're dealing with them?
We have one vendor right now. I sometimes go to sleep with stress over their technology. We're in the process of migrating off of them, and we can't do it too soon because I don't want to become a statistic in some sort of cyber breach event, especially given the position that we're in. But we're sometimes at the mercy of what you guys do and what your configuration settings are out of the box, or what's required to make it work, or the code. It also makes me think of a pretty high-profile vendor in the MSP community providing RMM tools. And one of my DevOps people was working on a project, and he found out that he could find the login credentials for any of the license, or any user, whether they were licensed or unlicensed. And as a point, we went to a friendly competitor site, somebody that I know, and we logged into their system in about 90 seconds. It was scary. And so we reported it to the CTO at the company, and that was met with some indifference. And after a couple of days, I called the CEO, somebody that most of you guys would probably know by name, and he took action. But the culture and the lackadaisical response was really pretty terrifying. And I mean, we all saw the Kaseya attack a couple of years ago. What's the company's name? My name slips my mind, but there's been a handful of them. I just don't want to be one of those statistics. And it's devastating when it happens to us. One of the victims I've gotten to know from the Kaseya attack, and they lost about 30% of their business from that. And I'm not sure how the dust is going to settle on lawsuits, but it's an earth-shattering event for sure.
Mm-hmm. And we're getting close to the end of time, so we are going to allow you guys off to drink and party on the boat. So Wade, if you look at your relationship with the vendors, what one or two pieces of advice would you have for people in the room if they want to do business and have a relationship with you where you're going, wow, these guys are really cool?
Have a great product, have great support, be easy to do business with, and learn what we do and why we do it.
Mm-hmm. Leslie, for you.
Well, I 100% agree with what Wade said. And just to take it a step further, if we part ways, if I don't use the product anymore, don't make it unbearably difficult. I think that there is always the opportunity to work together again. And I find a lot of the vendors, if you try to get out of the relationship, make it difficult, and what ends up happening is you would never use them again. Because the reason you leave may be for something silly, it could be budgetary, it could be the client's acquired, whatever it is. It's unfortunate that it almost becomes personal. And I'm talking about larger companies, not taking it away from a mom and pop. So, I would say it's really important to be supportive, to be kind, and to make sure that when someone leaves you, you make it simple, right? We can, these are obvious things, like what Wade, myself, and Oli require is a great product, support, education. It's not a lot to ask, but there are so many other things that you can do to differentiate yourself as a vendor, right? Be kind, be personable, be attentive don't take 3 emails of getting pinged to get back. Those are some of the things that I certainly look for.
Oli.
So I just want everybody in the audience to remember that we don't work for you. And I'm saying that in a very direct but kind way. Sometimes you think that like our world revolves around your product that you have, and it's one of just several hundred that we deal with, right? It's just a piece in a very big puzzle. If you haven't had a chance to go look at an IT system of a small business, let alone a mid-market or enterprise client, you'll be astounded at how many products and different vendors are involved. And we have to deal with all of you. And so coming up with channel programs that treat us like we're your direct sales force on W-2, getting a paycheck every 2 weeks from you, that's not how it is. We're involved with the clients always, and sometimes you're involved. Just remember that.
Excellent. So a huge thank you to Wade, to Leslie, to Oli. Some really terrific insights.